Next call is a split call. Dr. Kennedy Graham, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The stated purpose of this bill is to amend the Climate Change Response Act 2002. The stated purpose of the Climate Change Response Act 2002 is to enable New Zealand to meet its international obligations under the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. The stated purpose of the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change is to stabilise carbon concentrations in the atmosphere within a time frame that will prevent dangerous climate change. So it is demonstrably clear that the logical flow of those stated purposes will not be met by this puny bill before us on climate change. The government members across the floor, in receipt of their notes handed out just before the speech, have used the following phrases designed to capture the hearts and minds of the voting public. Get the balance right. Pragmatic, sensible government. Balanced measures. Policies right for the times. Mr. Speaker, the balance is not right, it is not pragmatic, and it is not sensible. It is imbalanced when it comes to climate policy, and it surely, sir, is not right for the times. A quarter of a century after the UN Framework Convention, we have these baby steps, as Megan Woods put it. Baby steps, removing a 1-for-2 obligation set up as a transitional measure, to quote the bill, to get businesses through tough times in 2000 from the GFC in 2008 and 9, and then continued in 2011. If the purpose of this government's climate policy is to calibrate policy in a way that businesses particularly do not feel any obligation to move in reducing carbon, whether it's the global financial crisis or the new crisis in 2 or 3 or 4 years' time, if that is the purpose, it will by definition not succeed. It is not pragmatic. Let me assure members, colleagues, that your policies, colleagues, will lose jobs, hurt businesses, and it will hit the families. The 3 objects that you state your policies are designed, the government's policies are designed to do. The global emissions in that period of time have increased from 32 billion to 50 billion tonnes a year. New Zealand's emissions over that period of time have increased from 67 million tonnes to 83 or so million tonnes. Since the government took over, they have increased 19%. Why have they increased 19%? Because of those measures, transitional measures taken in 2009. Because of the switch from a 1-for-1 to a 1-for-2 obligation in 2009. Because of an insistence on continuing with free allocations subsequent to 2009, resulting in 65 million units freely allocated. And above all, because of the insistence, this blind devotion against all logic, as it was pointed out to ministers through question time for 6 years, to insist on allowing the hot air coming in to New Zealand by way of credits, ERUs, from Ukraine, Estonia and Russia, which reduced the international price from $20 to 45 cents. So yesterday, and I'll finish on this if I may, yesterday we were assured by the Minister that only 26% of the credits surrendered were of those. And the rest, quote, had environmental integrity. So we are, at the moment under the government, only 26% corrupt in our policies.
Oh.